all of you. So let's get started now. If you're looking at women topic, 2017 topic, if you see, the topic was framed as fulfillment of new woman in India is a myth. And 2012 May, the wording was a bit different. It says managing work and home, and there is a colon, is the Indian working woman getting a fair deal? These are the two topics that have been asked. And dono case mein, the discussion has been something around the promises that we have made to women, the aspirations women have, the type of prospects we talk about women, the social commitment we have for women, at least as a part of our policies, or our intentions rather, but it does not show up in our actual execution. It doesn't show up the way the economy is being planned. It doesn't show up in the way we actually are developing. It does not look that we are serious about women reforms. Okay, so this is the general theme. And you'll find this theme is consistent across even the previous topics. Within Indian democracy, something on those lines, we had women, women empowerment. Very cynical way of looking at, you have promised so many things to women. You have been talking about women's rights. You have been discussing women liberty. You're talking about women development and women entrepreneurship, but nothing is showing up. Okay, so ये जो gap है, the gap between what women should get as a part of gender justice, what women decently need for decent development and growth, and compare that with what is actually happening. So this is the general tone that they want you to write on. But my assessment is that even if they do not ask a topic on women, but there are other themes on which we do have topics. Like we have topics on religion and society, values. We have topics on unemployment, AI, talking about digital economy. Okay, we have poverty, ये topic है. We have topics related to media and democracy. We have topics related to conflicts. So these are different themes on which they do ask. We have on education. My take on this is that all of these themes, there is a woman dimension you can write on. So I think this women is a very important topic that you can take up across many different themes. So my point here is that women, if you can discuss in new ways, women, if you can analyze in different ways, it actually can be used in many other topics. Let's start off with women. Okay, I'm giving insights. Okay, some ideas I'm trying to seed into you, and very importantly, I'm trying to give you a new set of vocabulary where possible. The first thing is the difference between sex of a person, okay, and gender. Okay, this is a very common discussion that you have in sociology, anthropology. Okay. So sex is about you are a man or you are a woman, you are a boy or you are a girl. It's biological. Okay, this is the biological attribute. Now, gender is a social construct. Okay, when I use the word gender, it is around the roles. It is around the norms that we have. Gender implies a certain do's and don'ts. Okay, gender is around certain value systems. Okay, we are imbued with. Okay, yes. So social aspects, gender is not same as sex. Now, what happens in our conversation? So, boy and a girl or man and a woman, this is definitely a biological concept, and there are differences. There are differences. This is not to be debated. But what happens is that this difference, which is biological in nature, this difference is carried forward to the biological differences, the biological ability, the biological potential, the biological limitations, the biological restraints. ये जो biological thing है, this is carried forward into cultural and social domains. We carry these to occupations. what kind of work boys can do and girls can do, what boys cannot do, what the girls cannot do. We carry this biological thing into traditional practices. We carry the biological thing into a diet, what food boys should eat, what food girls must not eat, what boys must not eat, what the girls can eat. A typical example of this diet thing is, pickles. Okay, pickles. I know of everybody liking pickles, but somehow, appreciating pickles or what is sour is suddenly seen to be more feminine. And milk is seen to be more masculine. Eggs is more masculine. I don't know if you realize this or not. Similarly, the biological thing is also carried forward to clothes. What boys can put on, girls cannot, and boys cannot put on, girls. And this include accessories also. So there are some things, color, yes, absolutely, color. And I was discussing this with somebody I know. I said it's very, very. Look at the arguments. How does society sanction this? When society says boys must do this, boys can do this, the girls cannot do this, or society says that the boys should not be doing this and girls should be doing this. How does society justify this? The society justifies this as saying, that man and women are born different. Man and women are created different. This is God's will that woman is the way she is, and that is why she should be treated like she is. And a boy is the way God has made boys, and that's how the boy should be. Have you seen this common explanation? So the gender roles are rationalized on the basis of divine decision. It is something God has decided. God decide kiya to hamara majal, okay, we can do what we can do. Just like it is a God thing. Okay, we are nobody, God thing. My question or reaction to this, okay, God said boys do this, girls don't do this. That's okay. But then God also, ensured that we were born naked. God ensured that we were not supposed to fly. God gave us 2 hands and we gave ourselves spoons. God gave us eyes and we put on glasses. God didn't say go to school. Okay, aisa to when you're born, you're just born a baby. So, but we have given ourselves educations. God didn't tell us go make a car, but we have made a car. The point here is that we very conveniently justify what we want to justify as long as it suits our needs, as long as it suits our roles and expectations. The point here is that the gender. Now, see, we are not talking about whether religion is good or bad, but what we know is that gender-based atrocities and discrimination has been justified, has been rationalized according to convenience. Religions have been used to define gender roles. This is our conclusion here. Remember one thing, just say enough to convey your point, but don't rub it in. जहां आप rub in करोगे, you never know who is reading your essay, right? और अगर religion नहीं कहना है, at least tradition तो कह ही सकते हैं. In case I'm a bit scared about this word, given the times we live in, we can always use the word traditions. We have used traditions to justify gender roles. We have used our traditional value systems to justify the gender atrocities. So itna hi rakho aap insight. So this is one insight. So every religion is guilty of discrimination against women. Itna bol ke chhod do, please. The second point, the consequence of this, essentially we see, okay, ये जो gender discrimination है, और the gender atrocities हैं, or talk about even crimes against women. This is essentially a type of a social power struggle. This is what's also referred to as the politics of common life. This is the politics of domestic life. This is something like the politics of everyday life. And in this politics, when I say politics, I basically mean some kind of a power fight. In this power fight, who is trying to win over whom? Interesting dimension here. It is essentially men trying to dominate over women and men also trying to dominate over men. ये दोनों का consequence है crime against women. It is not simply a male-female. Remember this. It's also male and male. Why? Because देखो, when you are abusing or hurting somebody's wife, when you are abusing, hurting somebody's daughter, you're abusing, hurting somebody's sister, you actually are humiliating this guy. This is what we call as the politics of everyday life. That is why अभी भी है पहले भी था. When there are conflicts, when there are riots, when there are wars, women are the very convenient targets to humiliate a community. In fact, in world wars, in the war of Serbia, Serbian wars में, Afghan war में हुआ है ये. Okay, in India also, the women of those who were defeated, they were brutalized, vandalized, they were abused, they were tortured. Yes, happening for Yazidi women. Yes, absolutely. We have seen this in caste struggles. Caste में देखा आपने? Caste में how the women are paraded. Okay, somebody's son or daughter elope somebody else, that man's wife or that man's other daughters, that man's sisters can be humiliated. That's why we said that women are obvious targets in wars and in conflicts. Serbian war mein, it was sanctioned that after defeating the Bosnians, the Serbian army would vandalize the women of those villages. The Nazis have done this. Rwandan wars mein, Angola-Rwanda wars mein, the women have been forced to seeing their nose cut off, the ears cut off, the face mutilated. It's like, and they don't kill them. It's almost like let the men remember the defeat as long as they live. The men remember the humiliation and demoralize them into subjugation. Okay, that's why I'm saying it's a politics. ये common life का जो है, this goes way far into even the wars. So we see women becoming a pawn in these power games. So this is one more dimension. Now इसी से एक concept आता है, what is called as virtuous violence. Virtuous violence basically something like the violence perpetuated on women, and such acts are justified as morality and as sanctified by religion to correct and to punish the women wrongdoers. What is virtuous violence? A classic example of this is the honor killings, acid attacks, stoning to death or adultery, or parading women naked because of caste war. It's called as virtuous violence. Malala, a victim of virtuous violence. Forms of this is social media may abuse, trolling against women, shaming women. You know, we all have been guilty of this in the Riya Chakrabarti case. Okay? But everybody took turns and everybody enjoyed somewhere pinning down the blame on a girl. Okay, we do not know whether she was guilty or not. Abhi bhi nahi pata. And we have no business doing it. Okay, when probably the courts were out there. Media trial was an example of virtuous violence. Absolutely. Despite, and the shocking part is that, you know, we are living in the 21st century. We're talking about technology. We talk about IT. We talk about innovations and biotechnology. Okay, we go to moon, we go to Saturn, we go to Mars. But our jo basic instincts hai on these things, I mean, yes, absolutely. Greta Thunberg has been victim of that. Okay, Greta Thunberg has been victim of shaming. Is almost like virtuous violence. A classic example of this is lot of virtuous violence. Even Donald Trump is guilty of the way he has abused. I mean, if you know about this girl, this Fox reporter, how she was literally abused and taken off the jobs. Barkha Dutt, if you know, but the way she has been target of a lot of nasty comments and trolling. It's almost like we are justifying or sanctifying that type of behavior because she is considered immoral, and that's the whole idea. So this in times when we're supposed to be most modern, and interestingly, this virtuous violence even the youth is guilty of. This is shocking. Why? Because we want to see the youth as idealistic. We want to see the youth as aspirational, maybe more open-minded, less bounded by tradition. The youth more trying to break free of the shackles. And when youth starts perpetuating this, and social media trolling is, it's what it never was earlier, which means that this is definitely a very, very ingrained aspect of our personality and society. That's one term. Okay, what is virtuous violence, and what do we mean by the politics of everyday life? Now, such gender-based discrimination isn't only about crimes, isn't only about atrocities. It is also about the way the roles are defined. Now, see, when we talk about problems against women, we should not limit ourselves to crimes, atrocities alone. Rape, murder, acid attacks, mutilation, वो तो extreme हो गया. But I'm saying that this is something we can see even in the way we define the roles. One good example of this is the moment we differentiate public versus private. The moment we differentiate work versus home. The moment we differentiate career versus money versus patience or relationships. Implicit in these things is also gender issues. Where do we start women? Women in army bhi combat role in women abhi bhi debate kar rahe hain, right? Again, if you say women in army also, okay, army mein they are more like what? Caregivers. In army mein maybe the ground operations, okay, army maybe first aid, army mein doctors maybe. So when we discriminate, combat role for women is still being debated. So this is masculine, this is the man thing, this is about power, this is about ambitions, this is more women, this is more feminine. Women at work and think of husbands at home, which is more scandalizing for many of us. Women at work to तरह भी बर्दाश्त कर लें. Okay, I will tolerate women at work. What we can't jeer at, what we can't smile and criticize, what we can't help but be critical of is this one. Husband at home, the whole concept of house husband is revolting for many of us. So this is an insight. Use this in your essays, that the issues of women are not related to crimes again. It's also related to the way we define roles, the way we define our preferences in life, the way we differentiate public from private, the way we differentiate work from home, the way we differentiate career and family. Okay, domestic is woman. And somewhere, एक और fact है, this thinking, ये जो thinking है, is considered also the result of biological evolution, that from years and years, the women have been looking after families and the skills are such that they are what they are. The men folk in hunting, men folk in the jungles, men folk organizing attacks and those tribal conflicts, so they are what they are. Okay, so this is again a part of an accepted theory of biological evolution. The next discussion we are moving towards is women and economy. So historically, women have been denied avenues to work. They have limited employment prospects. There exists wage gap. Women are slotted. Women are slotted in stereotype roles, even in the professional degrees. Now, if you come some data here, you can write down something here. It says that the 1990 reforms in India did not look into a role of women in reforms-based prospects. It ignored creating avenues for women. I mean, देखो, this 1990-91 reforms जो थे ना, this was definitely not a very equal reforms. The 1991 reforms is not known for equality. Okay, we had agricultural disparities, we have regional disparities, we have sectoral disparities. But ये reform का एक नया dimension है that this reform also had lot of gender-based disparities. It did not open up the economy for women, not as much as it could have. Okay, so gender issues are abhi bhi. We talk about labor reforms, we talk about agriculture reforms, talking about taxation reforms, we're talking about MSME reforms. यहाँ पर भी the women angle is not taken up explicitly. Okay, there is some tax benefits for women, but not really to push the women entrepreneurship in a big way. There is some encouragement for women in MSME, but not really to push women into industries, into startups, into this new role of economic growth. तो एग्रीकल्चर की बात करते हैं, nobody talks about the agriculture farm workers who are women. Women narrative is limited here. A glass ceiling हमेशा ही है. Well, our point is the economic reforms we talk about. आज के डेट में we have got these very aggressive reforms, infrastructure reforms, urban planning, talking about environment, disaster management. Disaster management में भी the focus on women is not as obvious. The fact is, in disasters, women are a major victim. Women are a major casualties. Okay, we do not have innovations around women. There have been some countries who have consciously started planning urban areas from the perspective of women, women security, women safety, women convenience. But ऐसा हमने इंडिया में, I mean, it's too much to ask of Indian government and Indian scholars right now. But हम लिख तो सकते ही हैं. Some of the municipal workers who are women, their concerns have been taken into account. But abhi bhi, as a rule, the concept of office creche for children, maternity leave and paternity leave. Okay, these things are still, very new concepts. We did not talk about it. So 1990 reforms, 91 reforms mein, the gender dimension was conspicuously missing. The gender dimension was not really a very big agenda. For example, in the reforms, this is a new idea here. The care economy was neglected and continues to be neglected. What do I mean by care economy? Care economy is, child rearing. Care economy is early education. Care economy is care of the elderly. Care economy is hospice. You know what is hospice? Okay, something like quarantines for the old people. And care economy, a major group of workers in care economy are women. Think of play schools. And this is a very, very big sector. In fact, this is one of those very important social sector. Okay. And women are a major employment here. Women are a major labor force here. Yes, nurses, absolutely. Care economy includes nurses. So our reforms has not done much for the care economy. So आपके ऐसे में ना ये term दिखना चाहिए. Care economy has not been focused on. And in many ways, we say if care economy is around child rearing and early education, this is about a society future. Okay? This is the future of a society, the young children. And this is not the priority area. Isme to God knows what type of experiments we keep on doing. It is not really focused on in our economic reforms. And some countries like North America, Canada, Scandinavian countries, even Japan for that matter, in the US, they have tried talking about this very explicitly. It is one of those care ethics of care concept mein will come in there. So that's one aspect, economic reforms and women. The next aspect is women and economy. Another dimension is agriculture. Now see, historically, this we always maintain, historically, the women participation in agriculture is very high. In fact, if you look at the men-women ka ratio, agriculture mein almost it is comparable. In subsistence agriculture, the role of women is very, very high. Commercial systems where there are machines, threshers, tractors, industries, food processing, वहां पर फिर भी role कम है. But in subsistence agriculture, which is entirely based on family labor, okay, the role of women is very high. In fact, we say that except maybe plowing and application of fertilizers, women are the major component of all agricultural processes, be it sowing, be it harvesting, transplantation, winnowing. We talk about ginning, reeling in case of silk industry. We talk about plucking, tea industries. Every agriculture system has women labor. So our point here is in agriculture, women participation is very, very high, and men-women ka ratio जो है in as a labor is almost comparable, and this is more so in case of subsistence agriculture. Agrarian communities and traditional families, including North Indian belt, they are patriarchal, and one reason given is that they are agrarian. लेकिन उल्टा चाहिए था. Because they're agrarian, they should have realized the women's role is far, far more. In fact, discrimination in land ownership, the discrimination in land or property inheritance is largely because they are agrarian. But this is actually a contradiction. Why? Because in farming communities, women have, and in tribal communities, the role is even more. Okay, so women in agriculture have traditionally played a very important role. But agrarian communities have been the most patriarchal, discriminative. It doesn't add up. And this discrimination is seen in what form? That it's seen in women lacking land rights, women denied land inheritance. There is a feminization of agriculture, which basically means what? It basically means in rural depopulation, women are left behind for agriculture. And there is a very strong correlation between agriculture and poverty. So when we have more women in agriculture, we also have more poverty for women. Feminization of agriculture almost implies feminization of poverty. What we're arguing is that agriculture reforms हो, doubling of farmers' income हो, agricultural diversification, agriculture farm employment ho. In all of these reforms, women should be a very conscious element of planning. This is our recommendation, our suggestion. Because in feminization of agriculture, there is more feminization of poverty. And both are linked. जितना एग्रीकल्चर बढ़ता है उतना पावर्टी बढ़ता है, और जितना पावर्टी बढ़ता है उतना ही एग्रीकल्चर में विमेन बढ़ते हैं. It's a very tricky thing. Okay, I mean, if you talk in terms of a vicious cycle, it's almost like a vicious cycle. Can you all see how we are linking women with agriculture now? Just one paragraph, okay? This is what we need on this. But your heading must have this. The recent farmers' protest we talk about, or when we talk about what are the critical assessments of the agriculture reforms. So, 3 reforms आपके हुए हैं, okay, around your contract farming or around APMC Act. Nobody mentions the idea that these reforms don't seem to be focusing on women issues at all. They're not taking care of women labor. They don't talk about the women wages in agriculture. They're not talking about men are migrating out. More and more, disincentivized men are in agriculture. More and more poverty for the women, and it has its own set of social implications. So when you are being critical of an agriculture reforms, you can have one paragraph or two discussing how there is also a women dimension which should not be ignored. I have one data with me here. It says that only 13.5% of land holdings are in the name of women, although in rural areas, more than 65% of women directly depend on agriculture for primary source of income. So what this does is lack of land titles restricts access to institutionalized credit for women in agriculture and in the rural areas. The access to institutional credit, the access to proper banks, is limited for agricultural women workers and for the women of the rural areas. This was one dimension. Women and economy mein, women and agriculture ka link. Now we want to discuss something more. Women and education. I am particularly commenting on the education policy. Now, see, the new education policy talks about 3-4 things. It does talk about privatization. It is talking about school complexes. where they want to get schools together. There'll be some areas where we will have education centers, complexes, and in these complexes, the wisdom is that schools that have lesser children can be shut down. And we are working on economics of school infrastructure. This is somewhere in our mind. Another thing that they have talked about is in the school reforms, digital education, where we want to encourage more of online teaching. So look at this from the women perspective. अच्छा, एक और चीज है. There is lot of focus on traditional education, traditional value systems. ये 4-5 areas की बात कर रहे हैं, okay? Now, if you look at this from the gender dimension, all of these are actually anti-women, the anti-girl child. Because privatization, the direct consequence ये होगा that education will become costlier. See, we are not against the private parties coming in, but to promote privatization as the model. Okay, that everywhere privatization, and that is something that we have to relook into. So the healthy idea is they coexist, but in school education, where the costs are going to be higher, who do you think is going to be the casualty? If a parent is going to choose to save the funds, the saving of the funds will happen at the cost of the girls going to school. Cost cutting आपका girls में होने वाला है. So इसका direct consequence होगा, the girls will be impacted. Girls will drop out. Girls will not be the preferred ones to get into high schools. Girls will be more into your domestic chores. Now see, ये जो school complexes हैं, which are doing away with that neighborhood schools, this again will directly impact the girl child adversely. Because देखो, one of the concerns parents have about girls is that girls should not be traveling long distances. Neighborhood schools were a boon for the girls' education. The girls are more likely to attend. The girls are more likely to enroll. But the moment you start agglomerating in the name of economics, rationalizing the cost of school infrastructure, you will shut down the neighborhood schools. इसका consequence direct होगा, girls will be forced to drop out. Safety concerns, if nothing else. If our education policy talks about this, this again will be detrimental to the girls' education. This will discourage the girls participating in education. So this again is problem. The digital education hai, which is basically education from homes. This will legitimize domestication, okay, of education, plus it will legitimize the girls to remain at homes. Lot of girls come out to prepare for examinations for a good reason to leave home. This is a fact. Nothing wrong in that, okay? This thing has two things. Digital education is about technology. And because it is technology, it again automatically becomes a gender thing. अगर घर में लैपटॉप आएगा, तो लैपटॉप किसका पहले आएगा? भाई का आएगा कि बहन का आएगा? So digital education will again go against the interest of women. और ये तो और खतरनाक है. Traditional education and value-based systems. Now, traditions is historically sexist. I think by nature of the word tradition is misogynist. Traditions as a rule have always condoned patriarchy. Okay, so traditional education की बात करेंगे until we are very, very careful. ये जो संस्कार word है ना, it's a very dangerous word. I mean, it's nice to have good value systems, but to say that value systems are always traditional, I mean, that is something you can debate on. So when you start talking about traditional education, traditional value-based education, until you are very, very careful, this also can perpetuate, okay, and condone gender biases. Be careful, because this can actually start perpetuating, okay, lot of gender biases. This can start condoning lot of gender-based discriminations if the policies do not objectively define the scope and extent of what we mean by traditional education. Traditions are very convenient justifications. यही problem traditions में भी है और यही problem religion में भी है. We use religions very, very selectively जहां पर हमें अपना problem को justify करना होता है और our biases को legitimize करना होता है. That is when we use tradition and religion. Women and COVID. Basically, what did COVID do? COVID did three things: work from home, study from home. And what COVID did was increased our life and living within homes. And why this is important is because for women, homes is where discrimination starts and discrimination established. Domestic violence, you talk about marital rapes, you talk about atrocities in the homes, women and their professional work all has suffered. Caregiving has increased, absolutely. So ये जो homes है for women is actually a torturous thing. For many women, home is not the place they want to be. Home is not the place where they breathe easy. Confining people to homes because of COVID has increased a lot of women atrocities. There has been an increase in divorce rates. इसका अलग social consequence होगा. Interestingly, very importantly, lot of caregivers in COVID have been women. ये भी fact है. So COVID का impact, it has been negative across all groups, all type of social conditions, and COVID has increased the problem for them. Absolutely, lot of unwanted pregnancies also. Beginning of the year, the TFR had dramatically fallen. This year, I'm sure the TFR will see a spike. Just when our numbers were decreasing, it's not a perpetual thing, but this year will definitely see a spike in the TFR. और उसके अलग consequences हैं. So, by and large, this is what is called as the range of dimensions you can discuss women issues across. Talking about women and new economy. New economy is also referred to as sometimes as the startup economy. इसमें भी women have registered a lesser proportion of participation. So my data tells me here, men make up 90% of venture capital executive ranks. That's one. Number two, performance of women-led companies are chronically overlooked. Only 6.5% of funds raised among 150 funded startups went to women. Founded startups. This is 2019 data. Startup. Then it says women make up just 14% of all entrepreneurs in India. There is one more very interesting word. Have you heard of a term called as glass cliff? It basically means women who are aspirational, women who are on the path of power struggle are more likely to face tougher and stiffer challenges than their men counterpart. The concept of glass cliff. When I say power struggle, it could mean anything. It could mean political, it could mean even career and aspirations in general. It could mean fighting for the rights. There is a joke here. And the moment I heard this word for the first time, I recall the joke. It says, a man and a woman, they both die in the same circumstances, and they almost had come from the same type of background. And both men and women go to the gate of the heaven. Their saint tells man, I'll allow you inside if you can answer a question. The question was, spell God. And man says, okay, G-O-D, God. When the woman's term comes to allow her inside, the saint asks him, can you spell Czechoslovakia? So it's an example of a glass cliff. But the consequence of the glass cliff is, this is a very important insight, women as leaders are more effective managers and crisis leaders. They provide effective crisis leadership, because when they have been fighting against odds of that magnitude, so when they become successful, when they actually make it, they're far more effective in dealing with unforeseen circumstances than the men are. इसका best example है COVID management. Okay, the countries which were run by women have done much better than countries which were run or managed by men. Men का failure, You can say legendary failure men में हुआ है, US में हुआ है, Brazil में हुआ है, Italy का हुआ है. You can add Britain also, UK also here. You can add Russia also here. They are and all toxic leaders here. Okay, those who are the presidents and prime ministers हैं, they've been very very toxic in how they manage. Whereas COVID management, which was done by women, you talk about New Zealand, you talk about Iceland, you talk about known misogynist Germany. They were far more effective, and India may, of course, Kerala health minister was far more effective than most of the other leaders. Taiwan, absolutely. Very interesting insights, no? And this is also true for Estonia, Danish prime minister, Denmark. Denmark also has a lady prime minister. Estonia has a ladies prime minister. So I think we have taken care of a good range of discussions. I hope you think this can be used, okay? The rule of a good essay is keep your essay interesting. Keep your essay insightful. Okay, the essay should be engaging because of the new ideas you can bring in. So make sure that you balance off. Policy में क्या है? I mean, we don't. The policy is think on the education reforms again. The policy solution is in agriculture, think of the women again. The policy suggestion is please think of economic reforms around women. The policy is you have to be careful about religion and tradition, because they are getting into gender issues. Gender budgeting is a must for all issues. That's about it. Talk about climate change impact, talk about poverty impact. Women have to be part of all the conversation and decision making. Involve women in the process of planning. Involve women in decision making. Involve women in implementation. That's what the solutions are. Now, write down 2 or 3 quotes. I have some very nice quotes here. You can use them. One says, a very famous one, of course. It says, one is not born, but rather becomes a woman. It's a very nice one. It says, the problem with gender is that it prescribes how we should be rather than recognizing how we are. Gender issues, okay, the way traditions have been describing, it's more about what we should be. Ye karo, ye mat karo, rather than seeing what we are and what our potential is. Okay, very nice one. Michelle Obama says, no country can ever truly flourish if it stifles the potential of its women and deprives itself of the contribution of half of its citizens. Ambedkar said, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. And Kofi Annan's gender equality is a very nice one. Gender equality is more than a goal in itself. It is a precondition for meeting the challenge of reducing poverty, promoting sustainable development, and building good governance. Women issues are part of good number of SDGs. You talk about basic health, drinking water, poverty, you talk about malnutrition, forest rights. आपके हर जगह आपको women angle मिल जाएगा. Okay, women based planning, women based solutions analysis. Okay, so keep your discussions around women that way. So my last take on this discussion is that even if women is not a part of your topic as objectively worded women essay, but you can use women issues across all topics. आप economy में बात कर सकते हैं, education में, one page of conversation around women will make your essay more diversified, will make it more richer. So I think that's about it. Good night. Bye bye. Take care. Bye.